Capitalism is so short-sighted. It needs the instant gratification of profits now, whatever the long-term cost. There's a fascinating article in this week's Observer that shows exactly how this works. It tells the story of how oil companies and financial markets, after years of lofty promises, are abandoning net zero. 5 years ago, BP promised a green revolution. Their chief executive stood in front of giant screens showing floods and wildfires and declared that BP would cut oil, build wind farms and lead the transition to net zero. For a moment, it looked like even the oil giants had seen the light. But fast forward to today and every promise has been abandoned. BP is investing more in oil and gas than ever. The dream of net zero lasted 5 years, then collapsed under shareholder pressure. What can we learn from this? I think that there are 4 key lessons. The first lesson is that capitalism can never be trusted. When companies are forced by public pressure, they will make big pledges, but left to themselves, they'll always prioritise profit. BP didn't adopt net zero out of principle. It adopted it because it was under fire from campaigners, politicians and the public. As soon as the pressure eased, it quietly went back to business as usual. The second lesson is that short-term profit always wins. The company's green pivot collapsed because investors didn't see enough return. The Observer reports that a hedge fund pushed BP to abandon renewables and double down on oil. That's how capitalism works. It rewards whoever can squeeze the fastest buck out of a company. Saving the planet doesn't even enter the calculation. The third lesson is that markets follow fashion. In 2020, net zero was fashionable. Big finance and politicians were lining up to talk about the climate. But fashions change. COVID, the energy crisis, the cost of living squeeze and Trump's return have shifted the mood. And so BP has followed this trend. First greenwashing, then green retreat. The fourth lesson is don't expect fossil fuel companies to solve the problem. These are firms built to dig oil. They know how to extract oil, not how to reinvent the economy. Asking companies like BP to lead the transition was always like asking the fox to guard the henhouse. The impact of all this is devastating. The switch back to oil isn't just symbolic, it's really bad news for the planet. Every barrel of oil burned adds to the carbon in the atmosphere. BP alone emits tens of millions of tonnes of CO2 each year. Expanding oil and gas production locks in decades of future emissions at a time when scientists say we need to cut them in half by 2030 to have a chance of keeping global warming below 1.5 degrees centigrade. Instead of moving away from fossil fuels, BP is betting on a world that keeps burning them, a path that means more extreme weather, more displacement and more ecological destruction. Here's the truth. Capitalism itself is the problem. You cannot get to net zero in a system built on endless growth, quarterly profits and shareholder pressure. As the Observer story shows, the moment the financial markets turned, BP's climate promises collapsed. The lesson is clear. If we leave the future of the planet to the logic of capitalism, the result will always be the same. More oil, more gas, more carbon, more crisis. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. I'd really appreciate that. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.